You know when like you have a smell that's like lingering?
Yes. The paint
so
in my bathroom that's
yeah,
imbuing my entire house. Yeah.
I went to like a Bean Bean Bob restaurant last night,
Yum.
which I'm obsessed with, and
Yum.
like bathed everything. I feel like I could smell it in my
Oh,
nostrils
totally.
still.
It's in your hair. Yeah, totally.
I know, because that was the dumb thing that I didn't do before bed is I showered, but I didn't wash my hair because I
Yeah.
want to wash it tonight.
Yeah. I have to wash
So
my
it's
hair
just
tonight.
lingering.
It's been like a week. Yeah. Aaron and I, there's a West African food spot that's always in this like certain location in like a cross section of our farmer's market. Where if Aaron walks in this like certain diagonal cross section, the rest of the week, that hair smelling like charcoal. You know what I mean? Like it's because
That's
they're
so
like out
funny.
there with their like wood
Yeah.
fires and stuff. Oh man, the way that hair absorbs
I
smell. Yeah, I
love
feel
the
that.
smell of charcoal. Side note.
I do too. Like a bonfire.
Yeah, I think it smells so nice.
Yeah. Is that
Oh
because we
my
grew
God.
up going to like beach bonfires on opposite sides of the country?
I sure didn't go to a beach bonfire, but
That
like,
wasn't a thing in Miami? All we have here is beach
kinda,
bonfires.
but like not really.
Oh,
Not like,
interesting.
at least, I mean, maybe it is not in like my friend group.
Yeah.
I wish it was.
I mean, like here, even the beaches, like there's like set places for them fucking everywhere.
It's like not legal.
Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, Florida.
It's also not
You
hot.
should not.
It's
No
hot.
one in Florida should have access to fire.
I know. People in Florida like love a firework, you know?
Of course.
And I'm like,
Of course.
By the way, your worst nightmare is happening to me tonight.
What does that mean?
Okay, so I'm going to my friend's show tonight. I'm going to my friend's concert tonight.
So excited.
So excited. And his girlfriend, who's like one of my best friends, texted me. I'm like, okay, great. What's the plan? Because she's like, oh yeah, come to the hotel first.
Oh, you're leaving at 11 p.m. or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, couldn't.
And I was like,
would not make
can
it.
we get dinner? And she's like, no, like he has interviews and like, I don't, like we can't do dinner.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what do you want me to do? Like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do until 11 p.m. And inner me is so pissed because this was like my, like 21-year-old me is like pointing and laughing.
Absolutely.
You know?
Oh, same. My 19-year-old self is like, bitch, what? Yeah.
Now I'm like fucking doing like,
and you're going to wake up and drive down to me
trying
tomorrow?
to figure out, I have to go, even before that, I have to fucking go get blood work in the morning at like 9 a.m. so I could then do it to come just before I go to San Diego because I've been putting this off.
That's fucking funny. Good luck. Godspeed.
I'll sleep in the car. You know I'm not driving.
Absolutely. Passenger princess. And we'll just sleep the whole time No, we can't. We have too much work to do, but we'll nap.
We're going to go to bed early. I was telling Zoe, I was like, it's the best. I was like, what a fun weekend of socializing with the most antisocial people we know. And he's like, I know, I can't wait.
Remember my birthday when Sarah's dad came back out? And he goes, that's it? And we're like, yeah, it's Meadow's birthday. We're all in bed by 10.
Literally. My boyfriend and I are driving to San Diego tomorrow just for the night. And we both are really antisocial and for some reason have so many plans this weekend. So we were like, is it too much? Like, can we do it? And
we're not going to talk.
Like, you need to remember who we're going to hang out with. And I brought up your birthday. I was like, it was her birthday. And we were in bed by 11 p.m. asleep. And he was like, you're correct.
Aaron and I have already gotten in fights over our bachelor and bachelorette parties. He's like, you cannot go to bed at 11. I was like, it's my party. I can cry if I want to. Like, watch me.
Yeah, that's the fucking dream.
That is the dream. Except for I watched that TikTok again of those girls that dress up in Vegas like their type and we're going out to like strip clubs and stuff. And I still really think we should do that because it's fucking funny.
It is really funny.
I literally want a bachelorette party only to recreate a TikTok. We're going to insert it because it's funny. Like this might be my energy.
Yeah, except TikTok's going to like get shut down, or get banned.
I know. And you know what? I said that years ago and then I got talked out of it. Aaron's always been staying by that. And now you're saying that too. So I'm kind of like, do we even bother with TikTok anymore? But I think we should until it shuts down, huh?
Oh, it's been my
excuse. At least for
like,
TMV. Like maybe us personally, we don't have to, but at least for TMV, don't you think?
Yeah.
Whatevs. Hey, I cried yesterday and I forgot to tell you about it. In the spirit of crying more. You sent me Luna Montana's healing video, which was so cute and sweet. And I've heard about her once before through an old friend of ours, but hadn't really watched her content. And that was a very sweet video. But then I didn't cry in that, although it was amazing. And I love everything she had to say about mental health and OCD. Everyone should go watch it. Mm-hmm. But then I watched her Nutcracker video and I grew up going to the Nutcracker. She's a part of the Nutcracker every year because she's a ballerina. I grew up doing ballet. I grew up going to the Nutcracker every single year. Is my dad's favorite thing. He always took us. I was in the Nutcracker in 5th grade. Literally just hearing the music. I took photos. Just hearing the music. I just started crying. I just started crying. I was like, ah. It was beautiful.
That's
I loved
sweet.
it.
Oh,
she
that's
danced
nice
the part that Becky danced back in the day. It's Becky's birthday today. It was all very full circle for me.
Oh, happy birthday, Becky.
Happy birthday, Becky.
Oh, that's sweet. I love a good cry.
I love a good cry. It was a very sweet cry. It was like a fun, it was like I love this.
Like a nice nostalgic.
Memories. Totally. Nice nostalgic cry.
Whenever I have a nostalgic cry, I start to feel the line between me feeling cringed out by myself is so thin. Where I'm like, oh my God, funny. You are not in a rom-com, bitch. Like, relax. And then I'm like, no, this is sweet.
It's funny because the way I do that is like, I just think me crying is sweet no matter what. But now I'm like that fucking Gen Z content bitch that's like trying to take photos of me while I'm crying because I'm trying to post it for TMV. And then I'll take one and be like, okay, now I can't stand myself.
I am saying this here to hold myself fucking accountable. Catch me never posting a picture of me crying.
Oh, I have so many photos of me crying.
Watch me say that in like in a year. There's going to be like a whole montage, but like
it's cringe so and I do it and it's cringe, but something about it, I think especially if it's like a nostalgia cry or something, I will say it does make me laugh because I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And then it kind of makes me laugh.
Yes. And I get it for like document and I gotta get another tissue.
You can still talk. I can hear you, but
I know the people are going to come for me when I say this because they're going to be like, you're so aggressive. But like what I'm saying, I understand why, like, even if it's not a nostalgia cry and it's a really sad cry, it's an interesting way to document your healing and your growth.
Totally.
So I'm like not shitting on other people doing that for their healing and their growth. And I see it feels
weird though.
It feels weird though. And I see the purpose in sharing it, just like in the purpose of sharing anything. Like I get it.
Totally.
I'm not going to do it because I personally get weirded out by it.
Totally.
For myself.
I mean, even when I do it, it's a vanity thing because I grew up my whole life with my sister being like, if you're ever sad in front of like a boy, just cry because my eyes get so fucking blue when I cry. They become like electric blue, but then my whole face is red and splotchy. So I'm like, you got to really look past this to get to that.
Oh my God.
But I'm like, I'll like take a photo and try to send it to Aaron and be like, look at my pretty eyes.
Look how pretty I am. Let's procreate.
Literally. Oh, man.
Wow. Well, does that kind of lead about
kind of wounds? Yeah. Well, I mean, we were on the phone. I guess let's to paint the picture for the people about our topic today. What was it, like 2 days ago? You and I were on the phone just unpacking what we were going through as friends, not in order to prep for the episode by any means. But I think it's so cool that having this space has made us, it's almost like in a different form of journaling, I'm able to track my patterns and core wounds so much more clearly by having this space together and like having a weekly place to report in and talk about our mental health. So Gabby and I have just gotten to the root of a lot of things recently, and we each have our own different core wounds that are coming up a lot right now because, as we like to say, the universe will continue to present you with the lesson that you're trying to learn over and over and over again in different facets. And we were kind of unpacking that for ourselves recently in like the past week or past month, what came up for us and how it immediately links back to our two core wounds that we always fucking talk about. And we just thought that was kind of an interesting process to share with the group, to share with the class. We're airing out our secrets today.
That's what we're doing. I had myself on mute this whole time so that Kay wouldn't literally kill me while I'm adjusting my microphone.
Sorry, Kay. That's okay. I'm blowing my nose throughout this whole episode because once again, it is winter and we all know my nose in winter.
Okay. I'm trying to like not move a lot today. I have a heating pad on.
We know what time of the month it is.
We know what's happening. It was funny because like sometimes you and I will like sit and be like, oh, what do we talk about for the podcast? Like we're like, feel like we're not unpacking anything. Like what do we do for our solo? Especially because solos, guys, like we don't record these far in advance. So like they're very,
no.
We want to keep
You're
it.
We want to keep it in real time.
Yeah, we want to keep it as fresh as we can when it comes to at least our solos. And then you said it and I was like, wow. Duh. Like, of course, this is what we should be freaking talking about. We're both like sitting here crying about it right now. Let's
literally
unpack it.
Also, not to immediately derail us, but the studio looks so good.
Thank you so much.
Wait to record in person.
I know. I'm really excited about it. I was looking back at some of our TikToks from when you came the one time and we recorded here. And I was like, wow.
I gotta post
Other than
this.
the fact that angle is fucking astonishingly horrifying.
No, I can't even talk about it because we also filmed our first vlog. We're trying to vlog for Patreon and also make a YouTube comeback.
I laughed so hard at you when you said that to me.
Oh my God. Everything I'm doing, I'm like, you can't even see the phone because I only film under myself like this. And then I was watching it back, like everyone's just looking up my nose and at my double chin for 15 minutes, but c'est la vie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I look so
That's why it's on Patreon.
not great in our Patreon vlog. Like, I'm just going to put it out there now. Like, don't even worry about it, sister. I'm right there with you. Like, I'm not going to be in glam on that one.
No, like we do not care. Yeah.
What was I saying before?
Core wounds?
Core wounds. Do you want to like explain what a core wound is?
Sure, absolutely. Core wounds are typically subconscious things that happen to you in childhood that maybe you're not aware of that monumentally impact your patterns, the way you're acting, challenges that come up in your life. So say it could be something as little as, oh my gosh, you know, it's funny. The first one that comes to my brain is like, I remember my earliest, most embarrassing moment is being in first grade and being in computer class. And I was wearing white underwear that were really cute with black polka dots all over it. And the whole time the class was laughing and I didn't know why. And I guess my underwear was showing.
At least they were cute.
That can be a core wound that now everywhere I go, I'm always like making sure my underwear, you know what I mean? So it's examples of things that are small looking back. Like as an adult, you could be like, that didn't impact me at all. However, your subconscious can hold on to beliefs of what that would mean for yourself. And that can manifest as challenges in your adult life.
The first time I think I ever heard about core wounds and like the concept of it was obviously at Hoffman. And,
of course,
but they didn't call it, take a shot. It wasn't necessary. I don't think we said that word. Maybe we did. I don't want to give away the exercise because if you go, it's quite frankly, it was one of the most jarring of the exercises. Yeah. But it was basically, we were sort of talking about like the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves.
Yes. That was your TLO article. Mm-hmm. Was a lot of that, like your self-definition versus what's projected on you. I love that.
Yeah. So it was identifying those core wounds in that way of like, what is the story? Like, what is the story of you? Because like, especially, I mean, the majority of us, when we're asked to reflect on ourselves, and if this is not you, go you. And I like, I'm working towards that every day. But I feel like the majority of us, when we're asked to reflect on ourselves, it's so much easier for us to list all of the bad things than the good. So that exercise was really an opportunity to illuminate our shame statements about ourselves, basically.
I love that. I love that. I don't think core wounds has to be a set, term or definition. I'm sure there's, I love that.
Yeah. And so there's definitely, for me, like one underlying one that has been played out. And you made a good point. I don't know if we had hit record already, but core wounds, or maybe you were saying this to me the other day when I was talking to you about it, but like those stories that we tell ourselves, even if we think it's boxed into one area of our life, it plays out in so many different ways. And it might not be the same story that it's playing out. Like it might be a different iteration. That was like a big realization that I had this week, and a big realization of the way in which I'm manipulating that story, and I'm manipulating people to reinforce that story so that I don't have to feel bad about being the one that's telling the story. Does that make sense?
Absolutely,
I don't want to feel like I'm the one that's like talking shit about myself. So I'll just find somebody else to talk shit about me
to confirm
and then be like, I knew it. Or like, let me feel like shit now, but it's not because I caused it. It's because this person said something mean.
Absolutely. Our brain is trying to find ways to confirm the thoughts we're thinking to validate ourselves, especially when it's something where we say this all the time. Like if you were, raised with a certain trauma pattern or a certain wound, your brain is comfortable dealing with that scenario. The unknown is scarier. The other side of healing is scarier. So might as well keep yourself there by validating it with whatever fucking intel you get. Yeah. Do you want to share yours first?
I'm like, my core wound is, I think that
I'm sure that we can have many. We're not saying it's the one end all be all. We're not saying it's one for your life. They're around. This is ours right now in this season of life.
Exactly. I've definitely had a couple of scenarios over the past month and longer that have been direct. When life just slaps you in the face because it's trying to wake you up. It's been happening to me a lot with this underlying story. I spent so much of my life hiding behind just a facade of everything that I created about myself, because I always had this really deep fear that if people actually saw who I was, that they wouldn't love me. And now that I'm like in a space with the friends that I have in my life and like in a loving partnership, that's all all I want is to show who I am. And that's been the goal and mission. And I also feel like I'm so clear on like who I actually am. And again,
shout out to the work.
Shout out to the work. Again, by the way, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't think that just because you get clarity around who you are and your authentic self, I don't think that that means that you need to be showing it to everybody in the world, because I don't think that everyone deserves access to you. I think it is completely fine and up to you. And a therapist might be like, you're so wrong. And this is why I'm not an expert. And like, I will always defer to one. But I just don't think that you owe everyone the same level of authenticity.
Yeah.
Personally. Anyways, all I want is to be like, seen by the people that I love as like who I am. Like I hate feeling misunderstood. And I had a lot of experiences growing up. That was the underlying root of like, I feel so fucking misunderstood. And
because you were never showing yourself.
I was just never showing myself. And my actions obviously weren't aligning with like who I am.
Right.
At my core.
Because you're trying to protect yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I'd blame others. I blame my friends. I blame whoever.
Totally.
Why do they think I'm this? Why do they think I'm that? And I'm like, oh, it's because it's exactly what I'm doing. So I was at acupuncture the other day, which shout out Dr. Michelle. Her episode was great. Go listen to it if you haven't. And obviously that's, where I have lately my biggest realizations. She was the one that kind of helped me realize like the way in which I'm using others is like the scapegoat of not having to take accountability for like me being the one that's telling the story and just finding others to reinforce that narrative. And the example that we were talking about was a recent conversation I had with my mom about work. And I got really upset and annoyed during the conversation because I felt really doubted and really not even attacked. I just felt like babied and doubted.
I understand that. Yeah.
I'm not saying like that there maybe wasn't things in the delivery that could have been better. Maybe there wasn't things in, the conversation that, weren't frustrating. I'm not saying that that doesn't exist, but I'm also saying at the same time, all of those beliefs that were like really frustrating me after that conversation, like those are my beliefs about myself. And it like really illuminated a lot of doubt that I have around myself when it comes to my career. And it reinforced it. And I feel like I was blaming others for my own projections, even if those projections were, or like, even if that narrative is conditioning and it was learned. The bottom line is that it's been internalized. So now it's on me to figure out how to like unstick that and unlearn that and do that work so that when I have those conversations, which are inevitable because I can't control other people, I can pause, I can breathe, I can almost like disassociate in a way where I'm not going to get frazzled when I answer.
Well, it's not disassociating, it's creating space.
Creating space, thank you.
Like it's a healthy version of disassociating. Yeah.
Yeah. Creating space where it's like I can actually respond. Because one of the things I was telling Dr. Michelle, I was like, I just feel like I get so frazzled and I feel like I have to have all these answers. And then I feel like I sound like an idiot because I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm like frazzled. And she was like, so I don't understand why you can't just like take a moment and take a beat to like breathe and gather your thoughts. Yeah. It was so matter of fact.
So clear and simple and matter of fact. Yeah.
Yeah. It was also kind of giving the opportunity to like understand like that I may never, there were two big lessons that I took away, or three, I want to say, that I took away from that, which I'll get to. But that was like part one of core wound stuff. And then like part two was like, I got into a fight with Zoe recently that like our argument again, like illuminated like the giant one. And it was very like, I had a reaction to something that was like really defensive and passive aggressive because I felt like he was expressing something to me that felt like an attack on who I am at my core. My reaction was like really defensive and aggressive and came from a place of like, if I don't fight you on this, then like I'm admitting a huge flaw. And like, it's not like he was, by the way, this was I'm not going to say like what the conversation was, but like, it's not like he said something like about me or my personality.
Absolutely
it was like,
not.
It was essentially the concept of being like, I prefer a cheeseburger instead of regular burger.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I was like, how dare you? Because I like cheeseburger or like, I like regular burgers.
This
like,
is
that's
essential to my identity. Yeah.
Like it was basically a conversation like that. Cause I don't need people being like, oh my God, are you letting your boyfriend bully you? Cause like, trust me, I've been there, done that. And like, that's not what's happening here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I felt like both of those lessons of like just having this like undying need to be perfect, because I feel like if I'm not this 360 human being in all areas of my life, that I am not good enough and I am not lovable enough, and that like these people will leave. But like I'm just setting myself up for failure, because why am I telling myself that there's a bar that I have? Like with work, I'm like, oh, I have these 2 goals that I want to reach, for example. And when I reach those goals, my mom will stop. This will be fine. My finances will be taken care of. Like everything, like
you're not going to just jump.
Like I'm not just going to move the bar higher.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, joke's really on me. The 3 major lessons that I learned from this week was I may never get what I want from my family. I may never feel seen in the way that I want from certain people. And while it's heartbreaking, like it's okay. And there's ways to move through that. Patience was another huge one that Dr. Michelle was like slapping me in the face with.
That one's so hard for me.
With myself and with others, and like with the universe, because like I'm so impatient and I so expect everything to like change right now and happen right now. And that's just not the case. And by the way, so counterintuitive to everything that I believe in, because have I not been like yelling that like all I want is like stability and like consistency? And like, how do you get that overnight?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't. Like you need to be patient. So it was patience, and you said this to me of just remembering to use those patterns as a roadmap. That was a good reminder.
Like when it was we've spoken about this at length before, but if you're new here, it's this essentially, rather than being upset because you're finding new triggers or upset about being triggered, you could be like, oh, damn. Okay, well, at least I have a very clear idea of what I should try to focus on healing right now and trying to use it as an opportunity. Yeah, exactly. Good lessons.
A lot of sidebar convos that we can continue to have on the pod that I would like to, but that was the unpacking. What was yours?
Beautifully said and explained. And I think so many people can relate to that and to relate to those core wounds and feel similarly in vastly different chapters of their life and scenarios and context and characters. Like we all have the same range of human emotions. Like we really are all going through the same things at the end of the day. But thank you for sharing. That was beautifully said.
Thanks for listening.
One of the ways in which my core wound has showed up because we're talking about different facets, the ways in which they're showing up recently is different than, okay, I'm beating around the bush. Let me just say, one of my big core wounds is wanting to be good and perceived as a good person and be good enough. And it was so stemmed from a place of positivity in my childhood of my parents being like, school was important, but it's not like they're going to hate me if I try really hard and get bad grades. It was, you need to just be a good person. But that was so ingrained in me. And there was so much going on with other family members and scenarios and trauma and mental illness that was kind of the only lesson I was pushed. So I internalized it so much that now I have to behave in certain ways in order to be perceived as a good person. Otherwise, everything crumbles for me.
Yeah.
And most of the time, or what was most comfortable for my brain to understand that playing out was with people pleasing and with my lack of boundaries, which I've spoken to at length on here. But in a fucking podcast episode one time, we were talking about this, and you even said to me, yeah, like your entire career of saving people's mental health and like working in a nonprofit and being, and I was like, oh yeah.
I was like, you mean everything we do for a living? Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. Yeah, that too. So they really do show up in so many different ways. But I think for me, most recently has been boundaries and friendships. Because I also feel like I am in, similar to you, such a beautiful place with my friendships right now. And I really love and value everyone. And I have open conversations with people and good boundaries. And I have one friendship that is in a different place than it was before. Like sometimes you're, circumstances, you're just around a person for a lot of time and now you're not. And, you just kind of like adjust how that looks like. And there's someone that for the past few years has just like not felt good anymore. And I have not let it, I was unwilling to let that go. Like I really was trying to force something that was not feeling good. And they were expressing that they were unhappy with me and my behaviors and the way I was showing up. And even in that conversation, like didn't feel good for me or right or aligned or whatever. It's just, it's a friendship that made me, no other friendship makes me feel this guilty or shameful or like I'm in trouble. And you know, which goes back to like not being good.
Yeah.
But there's someone that was very important to me and is very important to me, and I still have a lot of love and respect for. So I was still trying to show up. Anyway, in the past couple months, there was just a scenario in which I was trying to have a conversation with them that didn't even pan out. That was so triggering. And I remember I woke up one day with a stress rash and quite literally had to call Gabby, and you just repeated on the phone to me, like, you are a good person and you don't have to now go chase them and save them and figure out what's wrong and like solve the problem and overextend yourself. And you are still a fucking good person without having to do any of that.
Yeah.
And boy, did I just need to hear it. And so sharing your core wounds with a best friend is a great idea because then you can call them in a crisis. They could say exactly what they need to you. And then I journaled so much about it because as we do, and I've come up with a new mantra for myself, which is I am good here. And it's not to dismiss. Isn't that a good one? And I even wrote it like, it's not to dismiss that I have goals for myself and I want to be other places and I, you know, have big manifestations I want to come through. But it is about Marie Forleo had a saying that I watched fucking 10 years ago on the internet called making isness your business. And it's just kind of about the power of presence, you know? Mm-hmm. And so in embodying that gratitude and embodying the kind of lesson that I'm learning to embody is that me right here, right now, with no accomplishments, with no conversations, with nothing I'm doing today, with none of my goals, with none of my attributes, me simply being here and existing and breathing inherently means I'm good enough. Like I'm good for being here. I'm benevolent. Like I believe that the universe is benevolent and I believe that we're all connected. And if that's true, then I am good enough just by simply being born and being here. I don't have to accomplish anything. I don't have to be a good person. I don't have to, you know, give back to the world. That's the one thing that my mom and I will still fight on is we like to say that your purpose is just showing up as your authentic self and being here. My mom would argue that your purpose is also to give back to this world. And so much of that is so ingrained in me too, obviously. And I still really believe that, but I'm also
because I believe that
because
too.
it's
I believe both can be true. I don't think
both can be true, but because of like how sticky that core wound gets for me of like needing to people please and act a certain way to just do whatever makes other people comfortable in order for them to perceive me as good. Mm-hmm. Like I have to let some of that go a little bit and be like, fair. If I did nothing to contribute to this world, if I, you know, didn't choose a lifestyle or behaviors or a career that did nothing to contribute, like I would still be good enough for being here. And I'm still allowed to take up as much space as I want.
Yeah.
And so that's my new mantra.
I like that mantra for you. You are good here.
Thank you.
I think that's going to help a lot of people.
Thank you. It's interesting because even when we were talking the other day, that one scenario with a friend had kind of come up in the past, but that day I had gotten 3 different DMs that kind of like crossed a boundary or were weird. And there are things that in the past I would have, right?
I'm like, don't make me fight for you on the internet again, because I will.
One was like, you know, kind of like a random friendship one. One was like a work, I want something from you kind of one. And just in the past, once again, I would have overextended myself or at least tried to placate or people please or offered a different scenario. And I was just absolutely not doing it. And it's cool because sometimes in the moment you don't even realize that you're starting to act in alignment with your more authentic self.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't necessarily something I was consciously thinking of. I just was choosing whether it was with this friend or in these DMs. I was just choosing to not engage in the way I would have. So it wasn't even like a proactive, like I was just stepping back and like letting that be type thing. Mm-hmm. And it in the moment didn't really think about it. But then in terms of unpacking it later with you, I was like, oh shit, like this is what it looks like to take behaviors that are new for me in a way that are more in alignment with who I know myself to be authentically.
Yeah. And it feels weird sometimes. It feels weird sometimes.
Weird. It felt like not normal. That's why I had to call you and be like, so I'm doing this. Is this right? Like,
no, but
I needed that check-in still.
I mean, I've done the same thing with you recently where like I was like, I'm thinking of a specific situation where defending myself is something I'm not trying to do. And like proving that I know what I'm doing and like I'm good enough. Cause like, it's funny that you were saying like your mantra is like, I'm good here. Like my whole thing that I like took out of Hoffman was like, I'm lovable as I am. And like that was my second tattoo that I've ever had was as I am on my wrist. My thing was like feeling like I need to like in conversation, like if I'm having a conversation with someone that I really care about and they're saying something to me about me, that's something that they think would be beneficial to me. And I know it's coming from a place of love, but it doesn't really align with me. But quite frankly, me combating it with like all of the, you know, the list of reasons why I don't think that would work for me in my life. And then having to follow that up with all of the, you know, reasons as to why I know that they wouldn't work well for my life. And like, you know, reasons why my intuition is actually strong and like reasons why, and then, you know, coming in with like, we don't believe in intuition or, you know, whatever. Like, it's like, yes, showing the receipts. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Like, oh, isn't that such a nicer, like, there's no need. There's just no need.
No, it's
a great suggestion. You knew where they were coming from. You know where you're at. The proving to yourself over and over gets a little, that is acting in alignment. Like you're still having to prove it to yourself because you don't believe it versus like so embodied in believing it that it's unaffecting where you're at.
But you know what?
Or it can affect you, but you don't need to bring it up in that moment. What? Tell me.
I would love your opinion on this because I was asking Dr. Michelle about it because I feel like over the past couple of years, with normalizing and destigmatizing conversations about mental health, which is obviously the goal, there has come a wave of...
Don't get me started.
It's like, I don't even want to use the word selfish because I think being selfish is a positive thing sometimes. And I think that's a word that needs to be reframed, but I don't know how else to say it. Like a wave of just like, I'm going to do whatever I want. Fuck the consequences. Because I'm acting behavior. In alignment. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of main character energy has come through.
Oh my God.
To put it simply.
Blech. Yeah.
What I'm grappling with is the line of me being able to not engage like that and say like, oh yeah, good, without placating, without being disrespectful
or belittling
to
or
my intent. Yeah. Or like being disrespectful to my intention around that relationship, because it's not like, I don't want it to be like a person that like I don't have a good relationship with. Like I want to have a great relationship with.
For sure.
But I also don't need to engage with that. But then it's like, am I doing a disservice to that person? Am I doing a disservice to our relationship? Am I like, you know?
I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but the concept that pops out in my head is when people are like, not everyone can handle it, but I just tell it how it is. Like, I'm just so truthful. And I'm like, that's not truthful. That's being a bitch. Yeah. Like there's a difference between saying something that is true for you and coming from like a place of love and respect and mutual understanding with a boundary, and saying something really shitty that's like just your opinion masked as like, well, this is how it is. Or like, I say what people are afraid to say, when it's like not your place, not your business, and you're actually just being mean to like prove something to yourself.
I mean, we know it. I'll say it again, and Meadow will roll her eyes as Miss Taylor Swift says.
Oh God.
As the great writer, Taylor Swift says, casually cruel in the name of being honest.
It's
a bar. I don't care if you like her or not.
No, it's a bar. It is a bar. And it's such a trope that like we see in media all the time. And it's just like so fucking boring to me. Cause I'm like, how many times are we going to play this out? I don't know if that's not, I know that's not exactly what you're saying, but it's just like one example of that scenario to me. But I think at least for me, when I'm trying to play that out, one, I for sure know that I've messed that up because I was so people pleasery that now learning to have boundaries, the pendulum swings. And I'm going to set boundaries that are way too hard and learning what my new boundaries actually are because I don't know what they feel like yet. Do you know what I mean? So I know for sure the pendulum will swing and I will fuck that up. But I think like kind of just like being in touch with your gut, creating that space and meditation to like know when things feel off or right. And then like not being afraid to take accountability or have a conversation when it's appropriate, right? Because it's not like every friendship is going to require that level of whatever. But I don't know. I think it's just like living it out day by day, feeling it out in your body and like taking accountability when you need to and fucking moving forward. At least that's how I navigate it. That works for me.
I like your answer about meditation and introspection because I just, the way in which I can over intellectualize something and mull it over
stupid.
over and over and over and over and over and over and over again is so unhelpful.
We're not going to solve anything with our thoughts at that point in time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So just, I like that answer about tapping back into intuition.
Did you see that TikTok I sent you yet of the therapist that specializes in people that over intellectualize and don't do well in talk therapy?
I haven't seen it yet. I
haven't like dove into her work or researched her at all, but if she seems cool, I would love to have her on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Because talk therapy is like not the tool that is most beneficial to you and I in this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking about that with Dr. Michelle the other day. It's just not.
Like CBT is not it for us right now.
Right now.
Has not been. To say it's not. Maybe so it will be helpful. Again. Absolutely has been. Maybe it will be again. Right now, nah. Which is fine. People have different healing for different things. I used to be someone that was like, everyone should be in therapy. It's so beneficial. You can't go wrong. And I do like somewhat believe that because mental health and mental wellness and these conversations are still so new to the world that I like some part of me is like, yeah, for the majority, I think it's really beneficial to create a space to kind of look at yourself and your behaviors and your thoughts and opinions in ways that we haven't necessarily been taught to do. But I used to be so steadfast about that. And now I'm like, absolutely fucking not. Like therapy is not for everyone.
Well, here's the thing. Hold on. Because I agree to a certain extent, but like, it's just, there's too much nuance in it. And that's why I won't ever say like,
exactly.
Don't go
a definitive.
To therapy. Because therapy is beyond fucking helpful. Neither Meadow nor I are therapists or doctors. And also
we've been in therapy for years before.
There's also just with like spiritual stuff and these books and certain things, like there's a lot of stuff that is like really bypassy.
Oh, yes, there is.
Like Untethered Soul is a great example.
Totally.
Literally, I asked Dr. Michelle because I was like, I'm curious. I was like, have you read Michael Singer? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, what do you think about Untethered Soul? And she straight up was like, no, like it's really bypassy because she's like, what I don't like about it is that it basically doesn't give you any space to actually feel the feeling and like let it move through. And that's going to keep showing up in your life a million other times until you actually fucking feel it.
Literally in my I Am Good Here journaling, I had to talk about the different, like loving the surrender experiment for the thought experiment of being willing to follow the universe and like knowing that there's bigger things for you and kind of like total surrender to a gift that could be yours. But there's absolutely no mention of boundaries anywhere in that conversation. And that's so hard for me as a people pleaser that would like let anyone do anything for me if I followed that protocol.
Which is why I'm saying like, I think that like regular talk therapy might not be what we need now. And like, there is other things that we might need, but like, I think it's an incredible, and this is not saying like I am above it, but I think it's an incredible way to start your journey of self-reflection because like, I think it's just about having and gathering as best as you can the tools in your toolkit.
Totally.
And like using them to balance each other.
Absolutely.
Know? Yeah. And being able to ask questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're not, and that's the thing is like that toolkit is never, or up until this point was not handed to us. Now there's elementary schools with social emotional wellness teachers. It's like the fucking coolest thing in the world, but
I know, but not enough.
It's so new. It's not enough and it's so new. So that's why having a set place to kind of learn those tools are so, so, so important. Just right now, we've learned a lot of tools in that section that have helped us up until this point. And now we're in this place where it's like, we got to get a little bit more body because we're two here right now. Yeah. And then we can come back.
Yeah. And by the way, there are CBT therapists and things like that like will do meditation. And like they meditation, do other
mind body
like
connection. Kim Eagle, my therapist that was on, talked all about that. Yeah.
Right. So like, again, that's why I won't stand on, like, I won't say like talk therapy is like not for me because like, what if I find a therapist that's like a regular CBT therapist that is also integrating breath work or is integrating visualizations and meditations? I think it's just about finding a therapist that works with the style of healing
Aligns
that
with
you need. Because like for example, like I had, you know, like done other things, but then like Hoffman was the most
totally poignant
thing that I did. And it was the type of exercises and the type of therapy that like was very helpful for my personal self. So now I seek out that type of teaching in the therapists that I go to.
And sometimes you got to shop therapists to figure that out. Like if this is totally new for you and you've never been to therapy and you're listening, sometimes it takes trying a couple different styles to have that understanding of what does work for you because it's new.
Yeah,
and that's
like
normal.
like I'm not currently with like a like regular therapist. Like there's other things I'm doing in my life to supplement that like are working for me right now, and like
totally
maybe I'll go back. But like the past 2 therapists that I had, like I just didn't vibe with.
Yeah.
Anyway,
healing is nuanced. Anyway, moral of the story.
Moral of the story: core wounds, man.
Core wounds, man. They'll keep showing up in different ways.
I like the idea, though, if anyone's listening, that it's a helpful thing of what Meta was suggesting of creating your own mantra, you know, around your core wound. That
totally
is a nice,
feels
healthy
empowering.
reminder. Yeah. It's been really
Say
empowering.
it to yourself whenever you're activated in a conversation. Like when I'm doing, you know, my heart opening exercise I always talk about in real conversation, you could say your own mantra to yourself. It's been fun. It's been empowering. I mean, my go-to mantra of all time, like my thesis statement mantra is I am loving awareness because I'm a Ram Dass bitch. But right now, the I am good here is really working for me.
I like that. Or just be like me and tattoo it on your body and stare at it all the time.
God, I want more tattoos too, honestly. Oh, I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
I know, me too. Gotta go do so much work so that we can actually do it.
Yay.
All right, we gotta go. Thanks for listening.
This was fun. Maybe we could do core wound check-ins. Let us know how this was. If you liked it, if we want to do check-ins, we'll continue to talk and share examples of the way in which things come up because I think honestly, at least when I listen to other podcasts that do that, I find it extremely helpful. So I hope it helps someone else.
Yeah.
And in this kind of conversation, it led me to believe we should also have an episode soon about expansive friendships.
We should.
Because the work we've done to find each other and have this and like that being such a part of like understanding our core wounds or these check-ins or like whether or not a relationship is worth having that conversation and back and forth. These can all be fun things to unpack in friendship. So if you have friendship questions, please send them our way because maybe we'll record that soon.
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, cool.
All right, I love you.
Love you.
Thanks for listening.
Okay.
Ciao.
How's it going, y'all? It's Aaron. Don't let your Monday suck. Don't have those Sunday scaries. I'm tired of everybody waking up in the week saying, shit, it's Monday. You know what goes down? TMV releases every week on Mondays. Make sure you rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're watching YouTube, yes, TMV has a YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and ring that noti bell and never miss a thing. And also, join the TMV Familia by joining the Thoughts May Vary Patreon and by following @Thoughts May Vary Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you for listening.
Great.
There you go.
Thanks, AB.
Got y'all.